Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Goksharas Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Śrī Rūpano Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Śrī Rūpa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Śrī Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Śrī Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Śrī Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Śrī Rādhā Kund Shyama Kund ki jai. Shri Mona Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Raseshwari Vishwabhanu Nandini Śrīmatī Rādhā Thakurani ki jai. Shri Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar Shri Krishna Chandra ki jai. Shri Sarva Vrajavasi Gan ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gan ki jai. Swaparshad Gaur Hari ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhaktivedānta ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hari Bo, everybody. Sorry I'm 10 minutes late today. I'm not really feeling in the mood to read right now, and I was thinking of canceling, but I'm just going to read. And I'm just going to jump right into it now. Dandavat Pranams Rup Manjari Didi, and Ganga Didi, Madhavi Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantamurti Mataji, and whoever is watching on whoever's watching in the Gaudiya Kirtan live page. Let me make this. Alright. So we are reading this article, Śrī Rādhāśṭamī by Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And also this article, and then this article, Śrī Rādhā Tattva. Actually, this is all one article, but it was separated into two parts. This was published in Rays of the Harmonists, Summer 2001 issue 8, and I guess issue 9 and 8. Śrī Rādhāśṭamī. First of all, I offer my unlimited dandavat by Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Sorry. First of all, I offer my unlimited dandavat pranams at the lotus feet of my Guru Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Jagar Guru Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Then I offer my dandavat at the feet of the worshipful Vaishnavas and the assembled intelligent gentlemen and mothers. Today is Śrī Rādhāśṭamī. Śrī Rādhāśṭamī comes 15 days after Śrī Krishna Janmashtami. According to the calculations of mundane time, we see a gap of 15 days between their appearances. However, it is improper to consider Bhagavan's unmanifest pastimes his aprakat lila from the perspective of the mundane world's material time. Śrī Rādhāśṭamī generally refers to the appearance day of Śrīmatī Radharani. But just as the appearance of Bhagavan Shri Krishna is possible at every moment in the hearts of the jivas, bhaktas and Vaishnavas, the same is true for the appearance of Śrī Rādhā Devi. Wherever there is a possibility of the appearance of Bhagavan, there is also the possibility of the appearance of his personal potency, the Chit Shakti, the spiritual potency, or Swarup Shakti, the Lord's own potency. that is the Antaranga Shakti, internal potency, or Vadini Shakti, the pleasure potency. While discussing Sanatan Shastra, the eternal scriptures, we can see that Shaktiman, the energetic, has no identity without Shakti, his energy. And also that Shakti has no identity without Shaktiman. Shakti Tattva and Shaktiman Tattva are identical. This is evident from a sutra from the Vedanta Darshan. Shakti Shakti Matayor Abedha. The energy and the energetic are non-different. In other words, they are one entity. One may inquire who our worshipful entity, our Aradhya Dev, is from the perspective of conclusive truth, Tattva Siddhanta. Is our worshipful deity male or female? Shaktiman Tattva or Shakti Tattva? In answer to this question, it is said that our worshipful deity is the topmost spiritual entity, the Supreme Lord, who is one without a second, Aditya Parabrahma Bhagavan, the Supreme Person, the topmost person, that topmost person who enjoys eternal pastimes. Param Purushottam, Lila Purushottam. If we call him Lila Purushottam, does it mean that we deny his personal nature, Prakriti? Certainly not. Because Shakti and Shaktiman are one entity, Shakti Shaktimatayor Abedha, Shaktiman refers to that tattva which is endowed with full Shakti. Shaktiman means one who is the abode of all Shakti. Is Shaktiman subordinate to Shakti or overpowered by Shakti? By discussing the scriptures, we see that Shaktiman is complete only when he is with his Shakti. Still, from the perspective of Tattva Siddhanta, where worshipable reality, Upasya Tattva, is defined, the most worshipable absolute reality is Lila Purushottam. If we accept only the Supreme Person, the Parama Purusha, as our worshipful deity and do not accept his Shakti, then we are not really accepting the absolute reality. Moreover, if we say, I will accept the energy, the Shakti, but not the source of the energy, the Shaktiman, then also we are denying his quality of being the absolute truth. However, it is the worship of Shaktiman Tattva that is mentioned in Shastra. That is the conclusive truth, Tattva Siddhanta. We could well ask the following questions. Why are we discussing this today? The answer is because there is a need for this discussion. This subject is discussed in the Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishads, Gita, and Bhagavat. Who is our worshipful entity? In answer to this, it is said, Advai Gyan Tattva Vraje Vrajendra Nandan. The supreme non-dual truth is Śrī Rajendra Nandan. Here the subject of his Shakti also comes into the arena of discussion. Scripture clearly discloses that Shakti is sheltered by and relies upon Shaktiman. Krishna is Sarva Shaktiman, the fundamental basis of all types of Shaktis. Thus, Shakti must be subordinate to him. We cannot fail to accept it. Still, when we consider potency and the source of potency separately, we see that one does not exist without the other. Whenever we dismiss either Shakti or Shaktiman in our attempts to determine the nature of our supreme object of worship, our conclusion regarding the absolute truth fails. Bhagavan, who is full of prema, or transcendental love, is beyond the material modes, and it is he who is the source of all potency, Shaktiman. We cannot, therefore, discard his potency, his Shakti. However, Tattva Vastu, Upasya Vastu, the worshipable reality, is Shaktiman Tattva. Shakti Shakti Matayor Abheda. There is no difference between the energy and the energetic. This Shakti Shakti Matayor Abheda is considered also in another sutra, which describes our worshipful entity as the Supreme Lord of all worship, the Upasyadev, the topmost person. We just read this. That is so strange. Okay, the topmost person, Purushottam, or that topmost person who enjoys transcendental pastimes, Lila Purushottam. Or maybe you repeated that point? Yes, he did. Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, sorry guys. Yeah, alright. Although the meaning of the sutra Ekam Eva Sachidananda Rasadi Ruptam Tattvam Dvidavirbhutam Ityartha, even though that sutra is self-explanatory, two meanings are given. And let's see what that sutra actually means. That means Shri Krishna Tattva is the non-dual form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has appeared in two forms, Nami, the form of Shri Krishna himself, and Nam, the form of his own name. Nami literally means he who is named, the possessor of the name, and Nam is the name. Where are we? Okay. Alright, sorry, I lost my spot. There, okay. So one is given, so there's two meanings to this. One is given by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 498. Radha Krishna Aiche Sada Ekai Swarupa Lila Rasa Ashwadite Dhare Dui Rupa. Śrī Rādhā and Krishna are eternally one identity, yet they have assumed two forms in order to relish the mellows of loving pastimes. One murti, one form of Krishna, is divided into two, resulting in the forms of Shakti and Shaktiman. There is also another meaning. Shri Bhagavan, the Supreme Absolute Truth, manifests in this world as his deity form, Shri Vigraha, and as the holy name, Shri Nam. Thus appearing in these two forms, he bestowed his mercy upon the bhaktas. Only these two explanations are given. Today is the appearance day of Śrī Rādhā Devi, who is the pleasure potency, the Hladini Shakti, the internal or personal potency, the Surup Shakti of Shri Krishna. How she is connected with Bhagavan is the subject of our discussion. Bhagavan is the unlimitedly potent fountainhead of unlimited Shaktis, Ananta Shaktiman. Although all scriptures, the Vedas, the Vedanta, and the Upanishads, mention Ananta Shakti, three Shaktis are considered to be prominent. The internal potency, the Sarup Shakti or Hladini Shakti, the material potency, Maya Shakti, and the marginal potency, Jiva Shakti. In this regard, one verse is found in the Vishnu Puran, 6.7.61. Vishnu Shakti para prokta kshetra gyakya tata para avidya karma sangyanya tritiya shaktirishyate. Shri Vishnu has diverse and innumerable potencies which are beyond our conception. Exalted and erudite sages or liberated souls have studied these Shaktis and have categorized them into three types. All of the energies are Vishnu Shakti, are different potencies of Shri Vishnu. The first Shakti is Para, transcendental. Living entities also belong to the Para Shakti, as has already been explained. The other Shaktis are in the mode of ignorance. At the time of death, either we can remain in the inferior energy of this world, or we can transfer to the Para Shakti of the spiritual world. All Shaktis are more or less included in these three. All the Shakti of Ananta Shaktiman is contained in these three Shaktis. If one inquires, which Shakti is Śrī Rādhā Devi? Then the answer is, she is Chit Shakti. This alone is explained by the words Sarup Shakti, the Lord's personal potency, Antaranga Shakti, the Lord's internal potency, Hladini Shakti, the pleasure potency, Para Shakti, the transcendental potency. All these words are found in different scriptures. The word Radha has come from the verse Tadrase Dharanat Radha Vidvadabhi Parikirtita. The transcendental form embraced by Sri Krishna in the Rasastali is Radha. Moreover, in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, we find much conclusive truth about this. Sometimes people impudently inquire from us, Bhagavat is the book that you Gaudiya Vaishnavas specifically discuss, but we are unable to find Śrī Rādha's name in it. In fact, such persons have not properly read Bhagavatam. They have not discussed and cultivated the understanding of the subjects of Śrīmad Bhagavatam according to the prescribed recommendation. Therefore, they are unable to find the name of Śrī Rādhā in the Bhagavatam. But those who have explicitly discussed Bhagavat have not only found the name of Śrī Rādhā there, but also the names of her associates. Akrura went to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. When they mounted the chariot and Akrura started to drive away, the gopis obstructed the path. Some held onto the wheels of the chariot, some laid down on the ground in front of the wheels, and some held onto the reins of the horses, refusing to let them go. Taking the exact same mood that is explained therein, Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur wrote in his Govinda Damodar Stotram, verse 26, Evam Bruvana Virahaturabhrisham Vraja Striya Krishna Vishakta Manasa Visedralajam Rurududusma Suram Govinda Damodaramādaveti. The ladies of Braj who were so attached to Krishna felt extremely agitated by their imminent separation from him. They forgot all shame and loudly cried out, O Govinda, O Govinda, O Damodar, O Madhav. The gopis are crying, they are weeping. What are their feelings? They are afflicted by separation from Krishna. Rajastriya Krishna Vishakta Manasa. They know no one but Krishna. At that moment, they give up all shyness, displeasure, fear, and everything, and start to cry, Ruruda sma suswaram Govinda Damo Daramadaveti. What is the expression of their crying? Hey Govinda, hey Damodar, hey Madhav, you are going and leaving us. You are so cruel. This is their mood, and Radharani is also with them. That mood is expressed in the shloka, Anaya Radhito Nunam, Bhagavan Harir Ishvara, Yang no Vihaya Govinda, Pritto Yang Anayad Raha. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:30-28. Surely this gopi, Śrīmatī Rādhikā, has truly worshipped Bhagavan Sri Hari, Aradhito, the Supreme Autocrat. Otherwise, why has Govinda left us all and only taken her with him? Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Harir Ishvara. Ishvara Hari was worshipped to the highest extent by Radha. The one who has worshipped Bhagavan to the greatest extent is Radha. No other Shakti of this world is able to worship him more than she. In this shloka, her name is mentioned in a concealed way. Why? Because Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas was not willing to manifest this deep confidential tattva to everyone. The explanation of this verse is revealed by the poet Srila Jayadev in his Padavali, or collection of poems, wherein he personally reveals to his listeners, Yadi Hari Smarane Sarasa Mano Yadi Vilasa Kalasu Kutuhalam Madhura Komala Kanta Padavalim Shunu Tada Jayadeva Saraswatim. Gita Govinda 1.3. Dear audience, if your mind is permeated by mellows of ever-fresh loving attachment while hearing the pastimes of Sri Hari, and if you are curious to know about his ingenuity in the amorous arts, may you become immersed in bliss by listening to the mellifluous, tender, and endearing verses of this collection of songs by the poet Jayadev. The transcendental poet Sri Jayadev Gosvāmī gives his explanation of the verse Anaya Radhita Nunam in the following shloka. Kangsarir api sangsara vasana baddha shinkalam Radham Adhaya Hridaye Tatyaja Vrajasundari. Gita Govinda 3:1. As Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, remembered the intimate love expressed previously by Radha, he realized that it was the very essence of the highest devotion. His heart was bound by the chain of worldly desire, embodied in the form of Radha. Therefore, considering the love of the voluptuous maidens of Vraj to be insignificant, he abandoned them all. Here Śrī Jayadeva clearly explains the meaning of that shloka. In his various poems, it is also stated, Dhira samire yamuna tire vasate vane vanamali. There he has expressed the same mood. Now we see that Krishna Dvaipayan Vedavyas has kept the subjects concealed, and Śrī Jayadeva Goswami has clearly revealed it. Why is this? One is thinking, it cannot be given to all. It cannot be given to those who are unqualified. We must give it after careful consideration. Whereas the other, with a magnanimous disposition, is distributing to everyone, saying, whoever among you has the qualification, the Rādhikā, can understand it. This can be reconciled, however. If one does not desire to give it, and one is openly giving it, knowing that we will receive it one does not desire to give it, and one is openly giving it, knowing that we will receive it according to our qualification. Yet one is not less magnanimous than the other. One who is considering the qualification of the audience has given it in a concealed manner, and the other says, I am leaving it up to you. You should discuss and cultivate an understanding of it, considering your own qualification. Therefore, everything can be reconciled. Radha Tattva, the truth about Śrī Rādhā, is profound and extremely confidential. Therefore, writers and commentators have concealed the subject to some degree. Radha Tattva is explicitly described in the books of our Goswāmīs, and long before the time of our Goswāmīs, Radha Tattva was explained in Garga Samhita. It is also found in the books of the poet Jayadeva, and in a book by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhi, which exclusively contains Śrī Rādhā Madhav's confidential tattva, full of the confidentialities of their leelas. So these are just excerpts from a lecture given at Śrī Shyam-Sundar Gaudiya Math in Siliguri on Śrī Rādhāśṭamī, 4th September 1992. And it's translated from Śrī Gaudiya Patrika 445 by the Raise of the Harmonist team, and it appeared in Raise of the Harmonist issue 8, summer 2001. Okay, now we're going to continue. This is actually the same article, right? I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's the same class. Alright. All Radha Tattva is within the book Śrī Rādhā Rasa Sudha Nidhi, but not everyone has the capacity to discuss it. One can discuss a few initial chapters, but it will be inappropriate to discuss further. Who can discuss it? Who has attained a very elevated level of bhakti, and who, due to hearing, chanting, and remembering the transcendental sweet pastimes of Bhagavan, never misunderstands these pastimes in any way? Revelations of the Absolute Truth, Tattvadarshan, are seen within the Srimad Bhagavatam's descriptions of stealing the gopis' clothes, Vastraharan Lila, boating pastimes, Noka Vilas Lila, and the 5 chapters describing Rasa Lila, Rasa Panchadai. The qualification, the Rādhikā, to discuss these pastimes, however, is not granted to everyone. For example, the girls who worshipped Yogamaya Devi were only 6 years old, and Vastra Lila is to be performed from this perspective. It's to be seen from this perspective. The scripture's explanations of this pastime, however, is misunderstood by many. Presently, historical truths are being distorted. Due to possessing a critical mentality, there are those who try to coerce us into accepting a distortion of the truth, or that which is opposed to Siddhanta. To mistake the sweet pastimes of Bhagavan with the dealings of ordinary heroes and heroines is a great offense. Because we tend to err regarding the many aspects of our discussions and descriptions of such topics, regulations have been imposed. For someone with spiritual qualification, it is not a fault to discuss these topics, but with people in general, but people in general are not to discuss them. What is the need for this restriction? For us to understand this, the example of Lord Shiva has been cited. Naitat samachare jatu manasapi hanishvara vinashyata charam modyad yatarudobdijam visham. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:33-30. Those who are not controllers, Ishvars, are powerless and helplessly controlled by the laws of karma. They should never imitate the Lord's pastimes, even within their minds. Like a person who foolishly imitates Lord Shiva by drinking poison generated from the churning of the ocean, they will certainly be destroyed. It was such a dangerous situation. Poison arose while churning the milk ocean, and that poison was consumed by Shiva Thakur. Upon drinking it, he became unconscious. He is the history, but by the mercy of Bhagavan, Lord Shiva came back to consciousness. The effect of drinking the poison overwhelmed him, and he became known as Nilakanta, blue-throated one. I need to stand up, guys. Actually, let me just read this. No, I'm going to stand up. 1 second. Oh, Krishna. All right. Yeah. All right. Now I'm standing up. Similarly, those who have not acquired the suitable capacity should not enter discussion on Ras Lila. For one who asks why, the response is, whatever is situated in Shastra is appropriate. Even so, one could still question, what is the harm in discussing Ras Lila, and how is it inappropriate when Shri Vedavyas himself has said, Rikriditam Rajavadu Biridam Cha Vishnu Shadanvita Nishinaya Dattavarnayedya Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhakaman Hridrogamashvapahinotyachirena dhira. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:33-39. A sober person who, with full faith, continuously hears or describes Bhagavan Shri Krishna's transcendental Ras Lila with the damsels of Vraj will first attain transcendental devotion, para bhakti, for the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Thereafter, he will quickly conquer his senses and become forever free from the disease of the heart, worldly lust. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sudrida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22:62. Shraddha is a staunch faith that merely by the performance of bhakti to Shri Krishna, everything else is accomplished. Where is my actual faith in these words? Where is my dependency on this? With this shloka, all my apparent sense of qualification has been crushed. In other words, I have no qualification. Because in this verse, it says, Shraddhanvito. infused with Shraddha. That's what it means. When we look elsewhere in the Bhagavad, we can see that some words of hope. What kind of hope? Namaya veshita dhiyam kama kamaya kalpate bharjita kvatita dhana prayo bijayaneshate. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:22-26. The desire of those who fix their minds on me does not lead to material desire for sense gratification. Just as barley corns burned by the sun and then cooked can no longer grow into new sprouts. This shloka gives hope to the general people. Krishna is saying that lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy can never and will never remain within the person will never remain within persons who have deep attachments to him. What then is the nature of their life? How do they pass their life? What kind of men are they? Bharjita kvatita dhana prayo vijaya neshate. The word dhana, paddy, has been used here. If paddy has been fried or boiled, how can it possibly sprout? It is impossible. Similarly, devotees who are like this paddy may live a worldly life, but they are not at all worldly. Such devotees are very difficult to recognize. They are likened to a ripe mango that appears unripe due to the green color of its exterior, and they are also likened to the pankala fish that live in the mud. Generally, people cannot recognize them or understand their real position, but Krishna himself has described that position. Yeah, there's a kind of mango, I forgot what it's called. But yeah, its skin is always green. It never turns orange or yellow or anything like that. While keeping all these statements in mind and deliberating upon them, we need to understand several points and consider the extent to which our heart has become advanced. Am I overwhelmed by lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, or envy? Do they still exert an influence over me or not? Am I liberated from them or not? To what extent has Guru's mercy fallen upon me? My qualification is dependent on these considerations. In the lives of such devotees, there is no false ego, bravado, envy, malice, etc. Only wholehearted crying. Nothing other than this. That same longing and anxious crying is clearly manifest in the revelations of the truth regarding Śrī Rādhā. Rādhā, Rādhikā, and Sarva Sadhika are three of her names. By her worship of Bhagavan, she controls him more than anyone else does, and therefore her name is Rādhā. For this reason, another name of Rādhā is Sevarani, the queen of service to him. You may have read the Śrī Vrindavaneshwari Nama Stotara Shatanam Stotra, the 108 names of Śrī Rādhikā. There is also a Sahasranam Stotra, 1,000 names of Śrī Rādhikā. In them, all worldly transcendental qualities are described in a wonderful manner. Nothing has been left out. All of the vision and skills needed to control Bhagavan are at her command. When Krishna is presented without Radha, he has no identity. Śrīmatī Radharani is the mission of his moods and everything else. Moreover, without her, one cannot conceive of his existence and personality. All the Vedas have proclaimed Krishna to be subordinate to Radha's maidservants, or dasis. Radha Radasira Krishna Sarva Vede Bole. That's Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur. What an astonishing matter! Sakir Anugata Saki. Krishna's identity is that he belongs to those who serve Śrīmatī Rādhikā under the guidance of her Sakis. How extraordinary! That supreme object of service, the Savior Vastu Shri Krishna, is controlled by selfless, dedicated service, seva. This is the illuminating evidence. The previous acharyas in our line have said, you should do bhajan under the guidance of the original abode of service, the Ashray Vigraha. When the question is asked regarding who is that that original Ashray Vigraha? Many of us do not know that it is Śrīmatī Radharani. And then, following her are her Narmasakis, Priya Narmasakis, Manjaris, and so forth. It is imperative to serve under the guidance of the original Ashray Vigraha, Radharani. That seva will be successful and beautiful in all respects. We see in the Padyavali of the Mahājans, Ashraya loya bhaje, Tare Krishna nahi tyaje, Arsa moreya karana. It's from Thakur Vaishnava Parvai, Srīla Das Thakur. If one worships Krishna under the guidance of the Ashray Vigraha, Śrīmatī Radharani, Krishna can never leave that person. This can be explained in many ways, and for this reason, one is required to follow the complete Ashray Bhagavan and her followers. As many Ashray Vigrahas, Priyasakis, Manjaris, etc. as there are. Sorry, I read that weird. Anyways, if one's following is inconsistent or disconnected, then one will not get the fruit of realization of the absolute truth. Tattva Darshan. To follow the channel of preceptors, that is, the flow of the Guru Parampara, to follow that channel of preceptors, to follow that channel of preceptors of our Guru Parampara, it has been prescribed, that has been prescribed as the best means to worship Śrī Rādhā. The word Amnaya has been used in our Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, and it has come from the Vedas. What description has been given there? Amnaya Shrutaya Shakshar Brahma Vidyeti Vishutra Guru Parampara Praptam Vishwa Kartur Hi Brahmana. That's from the Mahārāja Karika. Never heard of that book before. Knowledge received by oral reception through the medium of Guru Parampara beginning from Sri Brahma, the creator of the universe, is called Amnaya. Such knowledge is also known as Brahma Vidya. Vedic literature that is received through the Guru Parampara is called Amnaya, and that channel is the correct one. Shakti and the non-different functions of Shakti have been named according to their various divisions. These divisions should not be merged. Is the mistress of a house the same maidservant? Would an intelligent man draw this incorrect conclusion? It has been described in the Śrī Narad Pancharatra 1255. Tava Vakshasi Rādhāham Rase Vrindavane Vane. I am Rādhikā, who coverts on your chest during the Ras festival in the forest of Vrindavan. Jadamaya or Mahamaya, the material energy, cannot say this. Jadamaya or Mahamaya, the material energy, cannot say this, however, for she has no power to do so. She stands behind Bhagavan with folded hands. Many Shastras have explained this, and even the Bhagavad has described it. Vilajamanaya yasya statum ikshapate muya vimohita vikantante mamaham iti durdhiya. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.13. The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. She cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. Those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of it is I, and it is mine. Vilajamanaya means that due to shame, the illusory energy does not come before Bhagavan. Rather, she stands behind him. Radha Tattva is so deep and so confidential that it cannot be discussed everywhere. Those who have genuine transcendental yearning may discuss the books of the Gosvāmīs and the poet Jayadev, as well as the Garga Samhita and Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati's Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. And there are many similar books in which Radha Tattva has been vividly described. However, this supremely confidential katha cannot and should not be discussed in the same way with all. Why not? By doing so, certain audiences may become bewildered. Someone could well say that it is better to do something than to do nothing. But when does that actually apply? When I am idle, I am told to sit and chant, so I chant. Something is better than nothing. A blind uncle is better than no uncle. On the other hand, it is not better to offend than to not offend. This is a special consideration. Good point. If my mind is not on a particularly high level, I should desist from such discussion. And when I understand that Bhagavan has given me the qualification, that Guru has given me the qualification, that the Goswāmīs have given me the qualification, then I will follow their line of thought. It is not that everyone must remain on the same level forever. Such a conception is not stated in any spiritual authority. Sorry, it's not stated by any spiritual authority. Tava vakshasi radhaham rase vrindavane vane. In the forest known as Vrindavan, I am your internal Shakti, Śrī Rādhikā, who adorns your chest in the rasa dance. This utterance of Parvati Devi throws us into doubt and suspicion. We therefore understand that Shakti is not two. In her spiritual form, her Chit Sarup, that Shakti or potency is Rādhikā, and in her material form, Jada Sarup, that Shakti, the Jada Shakti, the material potency, is Mahārāja. If we understand that the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu is manifesting in the spiritual realm, if we understand that the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu manifesting in the spiritual realm is the transcendental potency, and in the material realm is the material potency, then all our erroneous thoughts are removed. In the Markandeya Puran, it has been stated, Mahamaya Harish Chaitataya Samohyate Jagat. Mahamaya, the potency or Shakti of Sri Hari, has alone bewildered the world. That same Shakti of Sri Bhagavan is the Chit Shakti in transcendental activities, and the Jada Shakti in material activities. According to the consideration of Shastra, we are subordinates to the embodiment of the transcendental potency, the Chit Shakti Swarupini Śrī Rādhikā. We perform Krishna bhajan under her shelter. Those who only have an affinity for the material potency and do not take shelter of the spiritual potency, although they may be known as Shaktas, worshippers of Shakti, they are not Vaishnavas. On the other hand, Vaishnavas who take complete shelter of the Chit Shakti, Śrīmatī Rādhikā, are pure Shaktas. Goloka Vrindavan is the eternal abode of Shri Krishna, and by serving him, that destination can be attained. Performing the bhajan, meditation, and nam kirtan of Krishna, along with honoring his charnamrita and prasad seva, is the most desired religion. It is unsurpassed. Shri Krishna alone is the eternal absolute truth, and his Shakti and associates are also eternal. All the universes exist because of him. He alone is the origin of all, the supreme, the transcendental absolute truth. By the influence of his inconceivable potency, the Achinta Shakti, by the influence of his inconceivable potency, the Achinta Shakti, Krishna has unlimited qualities, unlimited prowess, and unlimited pastimes. Radha Tattva is expressly described in Śrī Narad Pancharatra. There, Śrī Rādhika's supremacy has been established over Śrī Krishna's. When Parameshwar is divided into two, Radha appears from the left side of his body. Just as Śrī Krishna is beyond material nature, Śrī Rādha is also transcendental, or beyond material nature, nirguna, eternal, and the embodiment of truth. Śrī Rādha was embraced by Śrī Krishna's rasa dance and the rasa mandal on the bank of the Yamuna in Vrindavan, which is illuminated by the rising full moon. She is glorified by the name Śrī Rādhikā. Sarva Shakti Swarupa, the embodiment of all potency, Śrī Rādhikā, is always more worshipful than Śrī Krishna. Radha Kant, Śrī Krishna himself, is a follower of Śrī Rādhikā, and Radha is the topmost object of his supreme meditation. Śrī Rādhika's Pranavallabha, Gopendra Nandan Śrī Krishna, the son of the king of the cowherds, is supremely pleased to eat the tambul, etc., chewed by Radha. That which is achieved by the worship of Śrī Krishna after a long time can be achieved easily by a little worship of Śrī Rādhikā. Śrī Krishna is the father of the world, and Rādhikā is the mother of the world. In comparison to the father, the mother is hundreds of times more praiseworthy and worshipful. Saintly people constantly worship She who delivers the three worlds, Śrī Rādhā. Full of devotion, Shri Krishna makes offerings to her lotus feet every day. Being overpowered by prema and brimming with devotion, Shri Krishna places scented alta upon the toenails of the lotus feet of Śrī Rādhikā in the sacred forests of Vrindavan, and is glad to receive the remnants of her tambul. Both Radha and Krishna are one tattva. There is no difference between milk and its whiteness. There is no difference between Radha and Krishna. Just as there is no difference between milk and its sweetness, there is no difference between whiteness. There is no difference between Radha and Krishna. Śrī Rādhā is the intelligence and wealth of Shri Krishna, and she alone is the original transcendental nature, the Mula Prakriti. That supremely auspicious Mahadevi Śrī Rādhikā has no worldly birth or activity. When Shri Hari descends to manifest his Lila, or pastimes, Śrī Rādhikā also appears to assist in that Lila. She, by whom the Lord of Gokul, Shri Krishna, has become the Supreme Lord, has, in the form of Śrī Rādhikā, been described as Paramadevi, the Supreme Goddess. All the 1,000 names in Śrī Rādhikā Nam Sahasra Stotram are auspicious. The servants of the lotus feet of Shri Hari, who is engaged in meditation on the feet of Śrī Rādhikā, as well as Vaishnavas who relish the bliss of serving Śrī Radha's feet by regularly reciting the aforementioned stotram, gain unlimited auspiciousness. The disciplic succession of bona fide Gaudiya Vaishnava spiritual masters, those in the line of Śrī Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī and Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī, the Śrī Swarup Rupa Nuga Gaudiya Acharya Guru Varga, displays its firm faith in the performance of bhajan on Śrī Rādhā, which is truly incomparable, as evidenced in their transcendental writings and their service performed with transcendental emotions, their bhav seva. Once in a learned assembly of attorneys, barristers, and judges, my worshipful Lord, Srila Bhaktivedānta Keshav Goswami Mahārāja, gave a speech in which he said, "Even through litigation, legal argument and counter-argument, one can gain seva to Śrī Rādhā, and by that, he receives the mercy of Shri Krishna. We are followers of Śrīmatī Rādhikā, who is the most worshipful of all. Our special service is to unite Shri Krishna with her. When Shri Krishna was meeting with Chandravali, the Sakis complains to Vrindavaneshwari Śrī Rādhikā. Then, after issuing a warrant and having Krishna arrested, they arranged his sweet reunion with Śrī Rādhā. Śrī Rādhā Daita Das, Srila Saraswati Prabhupada, has also explained in his commentary on Śrī Manashiksha. Radha dase rahi, charo bogayahi, pratishtasha nahi, kirtana gaurava, Radha nita jan, taha chari man, keno banir jana, bhajana kaitava. Becoming situated in Radha Dasya, the service of Śrī Rādhā, release yourself from the serpent of material enjoyment. Know that the desire for respect and adoration is not the kirtan. O mind, having given up the association of Śrī Rādha's eternalness, why have you adopted the fraudulent practice of solitary bhajan? Srila Gaurkishora Babaji Mahārāja has sung, Kotai go prema mai Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe go jai Radhe Radhe, Kotai go prema mai Radhe Radhe, Radhe dekha diye prana rako, Radhe Radhe, tomar kangal tomar dake, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Vrindavan vilasini, Radhe Radhe, Radhe kanumana mohini, Radhe Radhe Radhe, Ashtashaki Shiromani, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe Radhe, Kotai go prema mai, Radhe Radhe. O Radha, who are full of prema, where are you? Radhe, all glories to you. Radhe, give me your darshan and save my life. Your wretched beggar calls out to you. Radhe, Radhe. O Radhe, you engage in amorous pastimes in Vrindavan. Radhe, you are the enchantress of the mind of Kanu. O Radhe, you are the crest jewel among your 8 principal Saktis. Radhe, you are the charming daughter of Vrishabhanu Mahārāja. Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivedānta Thakur, who is none different from Śrī Gadadhar, and who set in motion once again the Bhakti Bhagirati, the flowing current of pure devotion, has also sung Krishna Vashikare Chandravali Adi Parajayamane Poriya Vivadi Haridaita Radha Charana Prayasi Bhakati Vinoda Shigodramavasi. So Ramani Shiromani 6-7. Contending to bring Shri Krishna under their control, Chandravali and all the other gopis accept their defeat before her. Bhakti Vinod, a resident of Shri Godrum, aspires for the lotus feet of Śrī Rādhā, the most beloved of Shri Hari. Jai Dorila Radha Pada Parama Jatane Shepaila Krishna Pada Yamula Ratane Radha Pada Vina Kabu Krishna Nahi Mile Radha Radha Sira Krishna Sarva Vede Bole. Rādhikā Charana Padma, verses 4-5. One who takes hold of Śrī Rādha's lotus feet with great care obtains the priceless jewel of Shri Krishna's lotus feet. Without the lotus feet of Śrī Rādhā, one can never attain Shri Krishna. All the Vedic scriptures declare that Krishna belongs to the maidservants of Śrī Rādhā. Saki gana mama parama suri yugala premera guru Taranuga hoye sevi varadhara charana kalapa taru. Vrishabhanu Sutta, verse 3. The Sakis are my supreme well-wishers and my gurus regarding the loving affairs of the divine couple. Remaining faithfully under their guidance, I shall serve Śrī Rādha's lotus feet, which are like wish-fulfilling trees. Rādhikā Charāntaji Ayaman Shane ke pralay hoy Rādhikā Ratare Shata Barari Shetu Kayamarasa. Shri Krishna Virahe, verse 2. If I were to renounce Rādhika's lotus feet for even an instant, I would become totally devastated. For Rādhika's sake, I would tolerate the agony of death hundreds of times. Aradha bhajane jadi mati nahi bhela Krishna bhajana tava akarana gela Ayata parohita Suraj nahi jani Radha virahita Madhav nahi mani. Radha bhajani jadi, verses 1 and 2. If the desire to serve Śrī Rādhā does not arise, then your worship of Śrī Krishna goes in vain. We cannot conceive of the sun devoid of sunlight. Similarly, we cannot accept Madhav separate from Radha. Bhakti vinodana nahi jane pari nija saki pai Rādhikā gane thaki asatata jugala charana chai. That's from Dashakushi, verse 7. Besides the desire to serve the feet of the divine couple while always remaining in the group of Rādhikā, Bhakti Vinod knows nothing. For this, he, she is falling at the feet of her Saki. Dashakushi? Dashakushi isn't a song. Dashakushi is a meter. That's a mistake. Anyways, sorry guys. So sorry to end like that. But yeah, that was beautiful singing all those songs. So much here. Alright, I'm gonna end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharika Giridhari, Shri Rādhā Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad, Ashtatarashatashmar Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad, Ashtatarashatashmar Srila Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad, Ashtatarashatashmar Srila Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad, Ashtatarashatashmar Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad, Ashtatarashatashmar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sahib. Nitya Vishnu Mahābhagavat Srila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Nitya Vishnu Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaur Mandal Vraja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Śrī Rādhā Kund Shyama Kund Ki Jai, Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Vrishabhanu Nandini Śrīmatī Rādha Thakurani Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavatai Namo Namaha. Vansha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. And I will continue again. We're going to read a super juicy article by Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj this evening called Radha Prem Makes Krishna Mad. It's really, I love that article. It's one of my favorite in that book, Śrī Rādhā, Our Supreme Shelter. But yeah, Dandavat Pranams, Bhavatarani Mataji and Hari Hari Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams. Hari Bol. Alright, thank you everybody for joining me. Prajumna Prabhu, Rup Manjari Didi, everybody else there. Hari Bol. Dandavat Pranams.